for me, the rush of the whole thing is really looking for that next hot track, piece of music. I've been that way since I was in high school, and um, never really changed in that respect. So, and it was great, when I decided to sort of come back, if you will. And I'd say it was around the year 2000. Um, there were so many young DJs at the time, whether it's, Greg Gray, or not so young, but younger DJs, Greg Gray, Steve Price, some of those guys were really welcoming me back. And I remember for a while they had this spot called the Sidecar, which you may remember,
on Chicago
on
and
Chicago Avenue.
in Orleans.
Yeah, Chicago and Orleans Sidecar. So that was kind of a special spot. And some of my early return sets were at Sidecar with those guys and Andre Hatchet. And so little by little, I just started getting back into it. And I'll say this, I don't necessarily have an explanation for it, but when Frankie Knuckles passed, I don't know. I just feel like I've been shot out of a cannon ever since that night, in terms of being determined and intentional about, not taking for granted this gift and this opportunity. So that, for whatever reason, had a big impact on my return, if you will.
I really I can appreciate that, and I know that you're an active member of the Frankie Knuckles Foundation. Rest in peace and power, DJ Frankie Knuckles, and thank you for the legacy and impact that you've left on this community. And I had actually forgotten, not forgotten, but you jogged a memory about the Sidecar
Right.
era, and put some additional context to the fact that was sort of the venue in which you made a gallant return. But there's another venue that you alluded to earlier, and for those just joining us maybe on the simulcast, we're here with DJ Alan King of the Chosen Few. We are, of course, on the precipice of 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks before the Chosen Few picnic, the seminal event that I know I always am highly anticipating, as many of my friends, peers, and some would call fans of house heads, whatever you want to call them. We are near that event, and thought it appropriate to have Alan join us on the show to share more about some of the ins and outs of it. But of course, we want to, for those who didn't know certain things about Alan, we wanted to get that perspective. And so, switching gears to Saturday Night Live with DJ Alan King, that is a venue, virtual in nature, but it is an amazing phenomenon. 4 years strong now.
Yeah, little over 4 years. So, right around the pandemic, I was like a lot of DJs. I was streaming on Facebook, and I just got absolutely fed up with Facebook and getting thrown off and having to start over and all that stuff. And somewhere I heard about this Twitch platform, which I had not been familiar with at all. So I made my way over to Twitch. I got to shout out my brother Mike Dunn too, because I'll never forget Mike. Mike, by the way, Mike is like the techie Chosen Few. I say Terry to some degree too, but Mike, anything tech. But I had poor Mike up on the phone like all night long one night, like just trying to get everything set up to stream on Twitch. And so my brother was very helpful in that regard. But I even when I went there, I had no intention of playing these ridiculously long hours on Twitch. And the first night it just felt good, and I was having a good time. I was I won't say pleasantly surprised, but it was very nice that a lot of people kind of followed me over to Twitch, and a lot of them probably didn't know what it was either. But so the first night, I just was having a good time. Folks were having a good time, and I wasn't tired, and I decided I'm just gonna keep playing. And obviously, that's become a staple of the show that I do anyway. Pretty much every Saturday night when I've not had a live gig for the last 4 years, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. ish, on Saturday nights, and I got to shout out my wife because I've really kind of given up all of my Saturday nights for anything other than my show, and she's been cooperative in that, so I appreciate that. But anyway,
Shout out, Sophie.
yeah, shout out Sophia. So, but in this day and age of, let's keep it real. Too many damn DJs on every bill. If you're lucky, if you get an hour, what I call microwave sets, where I don't care if it's a party or these festivals, you'll get an hour. If you're lucky, you might get an hour and 15 minutes, and it's like not enough time to do anything but play like the hottest current record, or try to impress as best as you can in an hour. So to have that format of 5 or 6 or sometimes 7 hours where I can literally play whatever I want, old, new, in between, and just be able to stretch out, as a DJ and musically, it's been it's been a godsend in that respect. And then I've been fortunate to have a lot of folks that tune in, and that's led to many other DJ opportunities locally, nationally, internationally, that I can trace to that show. So it's hard to believe when I think about it. Literally, almost every Saturday night for the last 4 years. And I'll just mention, of course, we are having our 4 year anniversary, SNL, 4 year anniversary party live in Brooklyn, New York, on Saturday, August 3rd.
Oh man,
Yeah,
put that on the calendar.
yeah. So I just, it's been nice that I've had a lot of people from the East Coast following the show, and I just thought might be a good idea. Obviously, I do a lot of stuff in Chicago to kind of go on the road for the 4 year anniversary. So that's coming up, at a spot called Now and Then in Brooklyn, New York, Saturday night, August 3rd. So looking forward to that.
With your mini me.
Yes, with my daughter, my daughter DJ Akili King, who lives in Brooklyn, which makes it very convenient. But she's come on the show and rocked a couple times, and
very recently,
and so she's gonna open the night for the 4 year anniversary party in Brooklyn. So I'm really looking forward to doing that with her, coming up.
Love it. I love it. And Coco Claxton says she was SNL day one.
So all right. Yes, she was.
Checking in.
That's my girl. How are you, Coco?
And I think that, the opportunity that you have seized upon and been consistent with is definitely, I don't know, it speaks volumes, because you're both your own promoter. You're, programming, as you said, stretching out your the range of music that you can play, and I would say it's probably a bit cathartic or therapeutic for you.
Definitely. I mean, I need it by that weekend just as much as other people are looking forward to it. So, and the funny thing is, I mean, there are Saturday nights where I might not be feeling great, or I'm dragging, and it's been a long week, and I think about not doing the show, and then 10, 15 minutes into it, I'm so glad I did, because that music just it is therapeutic, and so it's been a special thing.
I actually, again, just going to the personal notes. I can remember one Saturday we were conferring on trying to nail down some details for something. You're like, Man, I'm not sure I'm going to make it on the show.
I have a lot of those. I have a lot of those game time decisions on Saturday night, and invariably, I'm always glad that I decided to go ahead and push through, and because once I start the show, it's on. So.
Very good. Well, it's also Antonio Vivace tuning
Antonio, another SNL regular.
He calls himself a groupie, and they're dropping the infamous Alan King head emojis in the chat right now.
Okay.
And so the that venue is definitely an amazing phenomenon that you've been able to cultivate and nurture. And you said that being at home, you can go till from 8 to 2 a.m.
Right.
and not really blink.
Right.
I admittedly I sign off typically.
I understand that.
Somewhere, maybe watching Saturday Night Live
right.
On Channel 5 and going back and forth between.
Well, you're wise, because that's been the only trade-off. My Sundays are pretty rough on me. So that's recovery day. But
well, you've got some great endurance, sir, and again, respect for that. Which also brings me to the lead up to the Chosen Few Festival and Picnic. You guys do shows and perform before the picnic.
Yes.
During the day of the picnic, we'll get into that in a moment.
Sure.
And then after, although I think you guys are pulling back a little bit on the post-picnic performance. And again, going to a personal story, I remember probably 2 years ago, Epiphany Center for the Arts, you guys were doing a post-picnic performance. And I looked at you and you said, "Man, I'm white, wiped out." And so, leading up to the Chosen Few Picnic, talk a little bit about the events. Some of the purpose and intent. I mean, again, we love house music and feeding it, but it seems like a lot to do.
It's a lot to do. Fortunately, I'm not the only one doing everything, although sometimes it feels that way. But certainly shout out to Kim Parham, shout out to Wayne Williams, shout out to Terry Hunter, who all take various important roles in what we do. But in terms of the pre-parties, and we decided that once this event became, pretty large and something that people would travel from other cities and other countries, that we had to have more than just a one-day event. So that was kind of the genesis of the pre-parties and after parties. I would have to even cheat and look at my phone to remember all the parties, and I'll just run through these really quickly. So we are starting off on Thursday night, July 11th. That's sort of the kickoff party at a spot called The Point. I think all this stuff is on my Facebook and social media. So we're at The Point on July 11th. On the 12th, the pre-party is at Virgin Hotel Cerise rooftop. And then after the picnic, after party on Saturday the 13th is at the Loft on the north side. And then Sunday kickoff party or send off party, I should say, at Boo rooftop. That's probably South Loop. And we have some amazing guest DJs. Obviously, we have them for the picnic as well, but I won't hit everybody. But just to hit some of the highlights for the pre-parties and after parties, not even the picnic itself. We've got DJ Spin, we've got Teddy Douglas, we've got DJ Beloved, and Bruce Bailey from Detroit, DJ Rush. We'll be doing a special set at the Loft at the picnic after party on the 13th. it's going to be amazing. Neil Pierce, who's really a terrific DJ from London, who's
Yes.
going to play at the picnic and one of the post parties, I believe. And so, yeah, it's there's so many things that go into getting ready for the event, but a big one is the talent in terms of picking our guest DJs, guest performers for the main event, but also um, you know talking to DJs from around the country and in some instances like Neil around the world that we want to be part of Chosen Few Weekend. There just aren't enough slots at that picnic
Yeah.
to put everyone on we'd like to put on. So yeah, it's you know that's the most fun part of it is that artistic side. The nuts and bolts of putting on a major festival. Um, Again, it's a labor of love at this point, but it's a labor.
It is work, but the outcome of that work is so rewarding and amazing because people walk away from it, all of these events with such an uplifting and elevated feeling. And I appreciate you lending insight into sort of the why of extending it beyond the picnic. It makes sense. We see the international fervor for the event, and people are traveling from all parts of the world to come and experience house music in Chicago, Chosen Few style.
Yeah. And I would make the point, we're not just Chosen Few. I think we forget um, how important Chicago is to the whole house music thing. We see it and we hear it all the time when we invite people to perform, whether it's DJs or performers at our picnic. But folks want to play in Chicago. A lot of us who are here, we think about, oh, I'd love to go overseas and I'd love to go to Paris or London. And those folks in Paris and London are dying to play in Chicago. And we have to realize sort of how special we are as the birthplace. I'll say this, and I don't think she'd be mad, but just to give you an example. So, like, one of my favorite house music vocalists, without a doubt, is Julie McKnight, and Julie's going to be
The
performing.
sweetheart.
Oh man, she's amazing. She's if you don't know all her jams, you do, and you just don't know you do. But anyway,
Friend of Vintage House Show.
oh
as
good,
well.
oh
Yeah.
good. She's yeah. So it's so much fun to reach out to people like Julie and say, would you be interested in doing the
Diamond
picnic?
Life.
And yeah, finally Diamond Life,
Yes.
home, you can go on and on. But Julie was so super excited. Julie does festivals constantly all over the world. And she said, this has been on my bucket list for so long to do this. And by the time we finished talking, I think she wanted to pay me
to come.
to come. And I said, no, Julie, we'll actually be paying you. Like, you're doing us a favor. So, that's probably been the most fun part of this whole picnic experience. That kind of story. But then, like, the legends. Whether it's a Jocelyn Brown or a I don't know. Stephanie Mills. I mean, yeah, yeah. Stephanie, who came in on a horse-drawn carriage, which was a Wayne Williams idea, but I'll leave that leave that there. Uh, but you know, to be in a position where we can reach out to these people at Thelma Houston, people who we grew up like playing their records and listening to their music.
Leroy Burgess.
One
of my all-time
and
faves.
yeah, and sadly, a lot of those folks, nobody's like clamoring to put them on stage in front of 30,000 people anymore, if ever. So to be able to reach out to people we respect and admire and whose music we grew up playing and listening to, and to provide a venue and an audience for them now in their later years where they're appreciated and revered, and I mean that's that's probably the single most fun part of the whole Chosen Few picnic history.
It further advances and sustains the genre and the community, and for that, uh, again, kudos and flowers to you guys as you do that. Let's switch gears from the artist, and I think everyone appreciates hearing that perspective about getting those kinds and caliber and revered artists on stage to perform. Talk about what you see when you look out into the crowd and the audience, and these performers, the DJs are playing to this, and I'm going with the number 40,000 because that's what I got to do.
Yeah. Well, we use different numbers depending if we're talking to the IRS or depends on who we're talking to. But one of the things I do every year, and I do this every year, like whenever we have a new guest DJ or performer who may get there like early in the afternoon, maybe they get there at 1 o'clock, or there isn't a huge crowd, or even in the morning, where there's a lesser crowd. Although those crowds are getting more and more earlier and earlier, which is great. Which Carl was a beneficiary of last year.
Opening up.
Yeah, Carl Jenkins opened last year. But I do this with somebody every year. Like, we're standing on the stage and they look out there and they're seeing this big green field. And I always say to them, by about 2 p.m., you will not be able to see a blade of grass. And I tell people that every year. They're like, no way, you're kidding me. Like, just wait, 2, maybe 3, you will not see a blade of grass on that whole field, because it'll just be filled with people. So, that's always great. And the other thing that's been really cool, and we've had a lot of people that play a lot of festivals all over the world, whether it's a David Morales or whoever it is, but many of them comment that, yeah, we do that, but we don't do it in front of Black people or people of color. And there's a whole ecosystem out there of these festivals, and there just isn't anything like our event in terms of the audience. And obviously we welcome everybody of all races and creeds and all of that. But it hits people differently when they, number one, have a chance to be in Chicago, but to have a multicultural audience, and quite frankly, a Black audience in many respects. It's very meaningful to people. I've seen, shoot, David was moved to tears. I'll say Lady Alma was moved to tears. There's a lot of people that have literally been moved to tears by really the view that they see from that stage. And there's nothing more rewarding than that.
A very powerful perspective on the audience. And again, I can remember going back to the days behind the museum when it was, the Hatchet family picnic earlier on, and began to evolve into, a DJ and friends and family affair, and then, on and on. And it is sometimes when you go outside of Chicago, you realize sociologically, there are some unique things to Chicago. And certainly even the history of music in Chicago, has deep roots in terms of gospel and R&B, of course, Record Row. This is Black Music Month.
Absolutely.
And talk about how house music and Black music parallel. As certainly we talk about the creators of house music, but I'm gonna go ahead on air and say this. I think maybe 1 year BT celebrated house music, right?
Yeah.
And again, house music is a black art form at its core, queer, Latin communities also contributing. Talk about where is the miss? Is what
Yeah.
I feel, and really attaching house to
Yeah.
black music.
It's definitely a miss, and it's unfortunate. Um, house music, as you said, it is black music. Its origins from the performers, the people who created it, the people who played it, the people who danced to it. Certainly, big Latin influence as well, LGBT influence, but it is a black creation and a black music genre. Um, I don't know. Somewhere along the way, hip hop eclipsed us in the collective black music psyche or experience. I think a lot of what happened was when shout out to the Hot Mix Five. Nothing but love for those guys, and I think there was a very active underground scene, primarily on the South Side, late 70s, early 80s, where people, we were high school kids at the time, but we're getting exposed to sort of this club scene and I guess what you call the pre-house scene.
Uni High is in the building, by the way.
You're right. You high. But the credit to the Hot Mix Five with the power of WBMX and in I think that's and this is no slight. In fact, it's a great thing. I mean, if you go to a Hot Mix Five event now, you'll see a lot of Latinos and you'll see a lot of white kids, and that's great. Because most of the black kids kind of already knew about it before the Hot Mix Five hit the airways, but it was the Latino kids on the south, on the north and west sides, and that got their introduction in many instances to house music through the Hot Mix Five. And again, shout out to those cats for sure. Um, but my point is that I think when it was really rolling on radio, and we all remember how popular that Saturday Night Live Ain't No Jive
Chicago dance
show was on Saturday nights. You'd be driving on Rush Street, and every single car would have it on, and Lakeshore Drive, and so radio is a very, or at least it was. I'm not an expert on the where that genre is now, but or that tool. But at the time, I mean, radio was very, very important to shaping the kind of music, obviously, that people are exposed to, but what they like. And I always have this saying, I may mess it up, but um, when hip hop kind of took over for house music, I always felt like hip hop wasn't on the radio necessarily because it was good. It was good because it was on the radio. And the radio would dictate, taste and what and so that was a point where we lost ground. And however that happened, when the mix shows went away, and there was not house music or dance music in regular rotation on major radio stations, it became as Carl said in the background, popularity of the rap videos. Videos obviously became a huge thing. So um, and I don't think, obviously, we've never regained that ground from a black music perspective. I got love for hip hop. I'm not a hater at all, but I tend to think, in general, our black community is missing out on so much great music because they're not exposed to it. And um, even people who think they know what house music is, and they may think they don't like it because all they associate it with is you know, jack your body, jack your body, this and that, and um, percolate or whatever it is, and no, slide on any of those records or those folks that were making those records. But there's a whole group of people who think of house music as only something yeah, that's what we used to listen to back in high school or college, and it's jack this or whatever, and just have no idea that there's this great body of house music that's being made today, every single day, every single week, and we've got to figure out a way to, which raises another issue of we've got to figure out a way to expose more younger people to this music and certainly the DJ art form. And there are a lot of younger DJs that are great and they're starting to pop up, but we've got to figure a way to reclaim um, at least equal footing in terms of people understanding what this music actually is and that it's a Black art form. And that used to be done by radio. I don't know how the heck it's done now. We try to do it once a year.
Yes.
But I don't know the answer.
Well, that perspective though is helpful, and there was certainly a lot to unpack in it, and I appreciate you lending voice to the commentary I made, and that was an opinion of mine that there's house missing in the Black music equation. I will counter my point by also saying in the work that we're doing at the Vintage House Show, we've had the good fortune of meeting some musicologists and academics who actually do recognize house music's lineage and connection and importance and vibrancy to the anthology of Black music.
Yeah, and let me just jump in because I don't want to forget. I mean, one of the ways it's happening, and I'm so proud of Terry Hunter. The last couple of years, obviously, he's had back-to-back Grammy nominations for records for Beyonce and Mariah Carey remixes. So, that's helping a lot. I can tell you, we were actually in Croatia a couple years ago when Terry got the call from Beyonce's people. She had started her tour, and they had what they considered house music kind of in the, I guess they call them interstitials or interludes, where she's changing clothes and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they were trying to do a house music thing then, but the stuff they were using, they were getting a lot of criticism about, that ain't real house music. That's not soulful house music. That's not Chicago house music. So anyway, they were referred to Terry, and I remember exactly where we were sitting in Croatia, where Terry all night long was like putting records together for Beyonce, and so that was really exciting. And then I had the opportunity. I can't remember which came first, but to do her "Break My Soul" remix that was Grammy nominated. So. Terry's instrumental maybe in the potential crossover and the rise of house music to more of the general consciousness. So I want to shout him out for that.
Absolutely. A member of the Chosen Few DJs, a great friend of the Vintage House Show, and someone definitely trailblazing, as you said. And so in our closing 7 minutes or so,
because we could talk for another hour at least.
I'm like, literally, this interview happened, I don't know, 72 hours beforehand. And I was like, this is great. But yeah, we're going to need more time typically. But we want to ensure that all listening and tuned in get a chance to get some questions asked. And if not answered here on tonight's show, certainly we
And,
invite them to come to the picnic.
and if people want to complain about prices or anything else, I'm here for that too. So hopefully we've got some questions.
So we love social media because it you have the people who troll comments, and they come and you have both sides on that debate
Right.
about pricing,
Right.
and I think the those that support the pricing prevail. But
Yes, I agree.
I had one question come in, which was when this is kind of an interesting question. When, if ever, might members of the Chosen Few retire and maybe still get involved with planning the picnic, but maybe retire from performance?
Hey, that's a very valid question, and one that we're starting to think about. I mean, obviously, a lot of people know that one of our members, Jesse Saunders, had a pretty massive stroke. We are all getting up there in age. If not over 60, even our babies, Terry and Mike, are getting close to 60. Um, so that's something we've got to grapple with. So um, we don't want the event to die. I mean, we want to keep doing it as long as we can do it. But they're all I can tell you is we're very conscious of what we need to do to preserve this, and who we can hand it off to potentially. Um, and again, the DJing, the day of stuff is great. That's easy and that's fun. And I think, as long as our health permits, we'd love to continue being part of the artistic part of it. But it ain't no joke. We're in our 60s, and it's hard work. It's a lot of work. It's stressful. And as I mentioned earlier, I just think the event has come to mean so much to so many people that we feel like we have to figure out how to maintain it, and sort of pass it down to the next generation.
You definitely have certainly interspersed in the lineup. It has been my observation a succession plan of sorts, and it's great to see artists like J Star and Control Zora and some other
Sure.
Up and coming. Uh, well, they're here. They're
Right,
not up
for
and coming.
sure.
They are here.
And I got to shout out Amir Brooks also. I did mention him earlier, from New Jersey. Terrific young DJ. He's going to be part of our Chosen Few weekend as well.
Seeing them on YouTube perform. And then Akili, DJ Akili.
Yeah.
You are fortunate. I tried to get my daughter, we call her Mini Mega, interested in spinning. I have not been successful.
Yeah.
But she's out there with Akili
in New York,
in
right?
New York.
Yeah.
Still holding it down.
NYU also, right?
We
have two NYU grads.
That's right. We share that a special connection. For those who we talked a little bit about ticketing.
Yep.
There were those who wanted to get tents or VIP tickets and missed out. What do you have to share for them? How do they get there in 2025?
Yeah, it's unreal to us how fast our most of our tickets sold out. We still have general admission tickets on sale. We will always have general admission tickets on sale. We hear rumors like the whole picnic is sold out. The Chosen Few picnic will never sell out. Jackson Park will never be full. So you could always get general admission tickets online or at the gates on the day of the event. But as most people know, we've got two other sort of main packages, what we call our tent space packages, and then sort of the VIP area. And the tent space packages and all VIPs sold out this year, like way faster than they ever have. And I'll tell you, actually, last year was probably our best year ever in economic standpoint. And this year things sold out, even faster than last year. So we had VIP. You know, people love VIP. We've put a lot of thought and investment into VIP. We had to do a second wave of VIP, and then those sold out too in about a day. So what we try to balance is make sure it's a real VIP experience. And if you sell too many VIP, then the VIP becomes not the VIP. So we try to balance. We probably are not in a position to put any more VIP tickets on sale because part of that is there's food and drinks and other things that come along with that, and it's already quite a stretch for the tons and tons of people that'll be in VIP. So anyway, chosenfewdjs.com. You can still get general admission tickets, but that's probably all that's going to be left for this year's event.
Isn't that enough? Isn't that to be there? What would you say for someone who, the rare breed of person in Chicago that has yet to experience the Chosen Few picnic? What would you say to compel them to come?
I would say, even if you don't like house music or you don't think you like house music, the Chosen Few picnic is your college reunion, it's your fraternity, sorority reunion, it's your high school reunion. Um, it really started as a family reunion, and I think that the secret to the success that we've had with it is that despite growing to tens of thousands of people, we've managed to maintain largely that family reunion vibe.
No doubt.
So it's a day of local, national, international talent, but also, like I said, even if the music is secondary to you, it's an event that's full of love. And I always have to shout this out. I mean, the South Side and West Sides of Chicago get unfairly vilified, I think, in a lot of respects. But knock on wood, we've been putting tens of thousands of people in a park on the South Side for many years now, and we have not had a single act of violence. We have not had a single security incident of any significance. And that's a tribute to house music itself, the house music culture, the house music community. And I think the steps that we take to try to provide a safe and fun event. So we're proud of that. So whether you like house music or not, it's a great, wonderful day, and hopefully you'll leave there liking house music, even if you thought you didn't.
House is a feeling, and you can't feel it anywhere else like the Chosen Few Picnic and Festival. Lawyer by day, DJ by night, member of the Chosen Few DJs, my friend, and
thank you, DJ Mega,
and an excellent DJ, Alan King. Thank you for spending time here with us at the Vintage House Show. That's where we are on WNUR 89.3 FM and HD1 Evanston, Chicago. Shutting it down. As we said, there's so much more we could talk about, and the after conversation for 5 more minutes will take place on our social simulcast. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Next up, DJ
Old Man Boggs.
Old Man Boggs.
Old Man Boggs is in the house, y'all.
On the ones and twos.
25
also, shout out to Carl Jenkins from the Vintage House Show for hanging out with us.
Can I do one quick plug? Tomorrow night, Carl and I will both be at Pier 31, 31st Street Beach, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tomorrow night, catch us there, Pier 31.
All right. It's Wednesday night, so make sure you mark your calendar for next Wednesday, 10 p.m. Central, for another episode of the Vintage House Show with the Vintage House Show crew. We'll probably have DJ Lori Branch, my co-host of the show, or I think Lori may be traveling. So we may have another special guest for you, but make sure you mark your calendar, stay tuned. And thanks. Remember, house is a feeling. It's love. It's unifying. It is soulful in some aspects of house. Certainly the aspects we love most. And we'll see you at Jackson Park, July 12th.
13.
July 13th. It's getting late for your main man, Mega.
Definitely don't come on the 12th.
Oh, Old Man Boggs on the ones and twos. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm looking at. Is there a after?
So it's going on now, but you're on air.
Oh, yeah, thank you guys.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, we yield the time over to you.
Yeah.
So as the music's playing in the background, I would also I didn't ask on air, but of course there's the big question always comes up. You know, Chicago's a DJ town. Where and how do we get on as DJs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's always the tough one. And you addressed it a bit with the pre and post shows.
Yeah. I mean, it is frustrating. I mean, I don't take for granted that I probably have more opportunities than I can take. And I know that's not the case for a lot of people that are fantastic DJs. And, you know, we just got to have more venues, more clubs. And, you know, I'll say this, one of the earmarks of the Chosen Few over the years has been, you know, we don't wait for people to put us on. Like, we do our own thing. And, you know, people just got to figure out how to do their own thing and be willing to invest in it and realize that it's going to take time to build. But, and then I'll just say this, hopefully, you know, it doesn't do anyone good, and this is common sense, to, you know, be on social media bashing the people that can potentially help you and give you opportunities. So that's just common sense. So it's sad to see a lot of that too.
Well, come out, everyone, and enjoy, you know, the reunion that it is, and the opportunity to network and find, you know, and create opportunities with others. I think the online venues definitely enable people to do just that. I mean, your Saturday Night Live model is a proven example. But thank you for coming
Absolutely.
out.
Thank you, everybody.
We will see you in Jackson Park. Actually, I won't see you all. I'm going to be working from afar, but we will ensure in doing all we can. Ben and Chow Show will get to interview some of the performers and DJs. I do want to tease Alan a bit, because tonight he was smiling. Usually during the picnic, this guy's face is so stern. And again, I've known him for a long time, but I kind of, you know, I hold back from, you know, I'll check on his well-being. I think I gave you an orange juice last year, and you know, you cracked a smile of appreciation for a moment, but it is stressful. I mean,
it's a lot of production stuff, but you know, we eventually get to a point in the day where things are not catastrophic, and I can relax and smile more.
Well, we're hoping for more of those moments this year.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Thanks again for tuning in. Peace.
All right.